I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, has council had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes of September 19th? If so, I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second. Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Changes to the agenda. With hearing no changes, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Rick. Those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Guests in open forum. Seeing no one for guests in open forum, we'll move into committee reports. Budget and Finance.
Sure.
All right, Budget and Finance met on September 21st. We reviewed all the financials. Nothing was other than as we expected. BCC membership update, 964 memberships with a total of 2,384 total members. We looked at the past due utilities. They were up about $2,000 from where they were in July. We talked about some land sale proceeds. That's going to be coming before council either, well, it's not on tonight, so it'll be on the 17th. We looked at the healthcare benefit renewals. We talked about the Moody's rating call, and I think everybody got the email on that. We talked about an equipment trade-in that we're going to be doing. I think that's on the agenda tonight, and that was it.
All right. Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, we had two items. Number one was related to 8 Bravo tonight, so we will save our discussion for that. And then also we had a, if you remember, we're doing the zoning code rewrite over the next 2 years, so we had our first update from the consultant on that, so. Yeah.
All right. Golf.
Me do golf. Okay, golf committee. We looked over financials, which everything's really good. As of April 23rd, 2023, we were trailing the 2022 rounds by 1,300, and now we have surpassed it last year's by 1,396 rounds of golf. So that's pretty great. We talked about some water feature computer upgrades we need to do, which is on our lovely report here. Is what 8E. So we'll talk about that. And that's about it.
Okay. Joint Planning.
Joint planning met on the 26th. We had a boundary adjustment, an IUP, and there were ordinance revisions that were tabled.
All right. Any other committees? If not, we'll move into board committee and consultant reports. Birdie Lane easement dedication. Mr. Knutson.
I didn't title this one.
Yeah, it's
So,
super small.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In front of you tonight for consideration is the easement for Birdie Lane. Just a section, the city-owned portion of Birdie Lane as it relates to the 10-acre development and Bradley Boulevard. So the city owns that property. It's currently part of the parcel for the community center. But since it used to be a driveway to the backside of the community center, you'll still be able to gain access there, but that road is actually being dedicated as part of Birdie Lane. So it'll be considered with this action tonight, should you choose, it'll be part of our actual road structure and be treated as such for maintenance purposes as well as patrolling and access throughout the community. So pretty straightforward. We're just dedicating the easement of our own property back to street dedication and utility purposes. So we've been holding this for a while just to see if there's any other changes over there, but everything looks good. This is ready to roll. All the pavement and parking lot access has been put back in place with the construction this year, so it's in good position. But with that, I could stand and answer any questions should you have them.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 23-101, granting perpetual easement for the city-owned property for Birdie Lane.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. G&K First Edition Preliminary and Final Plats. Mr. Sanders.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This title is shorter than the last one last time, so. For you tonight, we have a preliminary and final plat for G&K First Edition. This property is owned by Gary Hammer. It's at the corner, well, I can't even really say the corner. It's a triangle piece at 3 intersections, so First, Edgewood, and 10. And this property is roughly 8 acres. It's already kind of split by the road already into 2 lots, but it's currently 1. So this will allow them to market 2 separate properties to different people. It also makes sure that the road is cleaned up and that the easements and everything are kind of nice and tidy. There is work being done on that to loop the utilities in as part of the bonding bill projects. So that's begun and should finish up pretty soon, so. The Zone C highway, no rezoning changes or anything. It meets the minimum lot standards. And then one note just to make, and this was discussed at Planning Commission as well. There is a note in our comprehensive plan about the Highway 10 and 25 interchange. There's really no set design at this point. There's some narrowed options, but because of that, one condition that's been added to the resolution just relates to zoning administrator and city engineer having some approval on site layout, just to minimize impact should that go in. Now, one of the concerns that was brought up was with the county. Well, what's the county gonna do? Is there some ability for us to ensure that the county doesn't just come in and say, hey, you put a building up, we're gonna take it down? Part of that is if there's a building there, I mean, it's gonna make it more difficult to put an intersection, but that'll be something that the county and the city and MnDOT would tackle at the time. So I think the condition was a balance between meeting the comprehensive plan while also giving some flexibility to Mr. Hammer on his properties. So Mr. Hammer was asked kind of what his take was. Would he want us to wait for the county to weigh in on the parcel? He kind of said he'd rather just move forward, and the likelihood is a little bit low, but I know Commissioner Hendrickson had asked about that, Councilman Hendrickson, and I think where we're at right now is we just don't know the timing. And with the county, it would have to be taken into consideration, those, buildings there. If a building's in the way, obviously the market value is gonna be very different than just bare land. So things of that nature will impact the design in the future. So we think that the resolution that's in your packet tonight, both the prelim and final plat do accomplish what they need to. So those conditions. There is one condition that was added from Planning Commission, and that is that MnDOT will review and weigh in on the plat. There's likely not to be any comments because it's already there, but we'll get their weigh in before it's recorded. And there are a couple minor adjustments they'll have to make on the plat, but nothing major. Public comment from the Planning Commission, really we didn't have a whole ton. There was just Mr. Hammer was there and his surveyor, and then a couple other individuals from the property to the north that are representing the individual there on that 35 acres that was annexed in. So with that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of resolution PC 2317 and 2318. So we're looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2399 and 23100, approving the prelim and final plat for G&K First Edition respectively. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
We'll make a motion to approve resolution 2399, approving the preliminary plat for G&K First Edition.
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And I will make a motion to approve resolution 23100, approving the final plat for G&K First Edition.
I'll second that also.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adding internet and cameras to City Park. Welcome back, Mr. Knutson.
I used to making 2 trips in one night, so a little winded.
Don't sit so far away.
Pardon?
Don't sit so far away then.
Sorry, I can use the exercise. So in front of you tonight, again, as the mayor mentioned, is the potential to add internet connection to, and cameras to our city park. So a while back during COVID, actually, this was brought up because there was a lot of outdoor activities being created and needed for meeting spaces and stuff like that. So the idea was kicked around and then kind of tabled, nothing was done with it. But as we looked earlier in the year back at some of our ARPA funding and using some sources of funding, this was a project that was nominated and put up there. So staff started looking into it and to see where that was going to go with the intention of being an ARPA project. However, ARPA funding was allocated someplace else, but it did get moved forward to Park and Rec because of the validity of the project itself, the enhancement of adding internet out there, some of the operational efficiencies, changing our thermostats to Wi-Fi, looking at some of the locking mechanisms, and then just in general the internet access when you're having, like we've got Barktoberfest out there, we have other meetings. The Lions use that. Sometimes that's an enhancement to the meeting structure out there as well. So some of our operational efficiencies that we like. We'd also look to use or add some cameras out there. We could view the dog park, some of our trash collection, the sliding hill, various things like that. So just from a security standpoint, we've added cameras at some of our other parks. So we'd look to do that. So staff did work with our IT manager as far as some of the cost options and looking at what we could do and put together the proposal in front of you. Staff looked to move this forward knowing our CIP. We've done fairly well. We did work with budget and finance to do a look back and to see where the funds could potentially come from, with the thought that it's a viable project and doing it now, the cost is a known quantity versus in the future, we anticipate the cost would only rise. So Lori did get back to us earlier. So on a look back very quickly with finance, in 2021, just from the park CIP, the projects that were allocated, we underspent $6,400. In 2022, we underspent by $25,000, and we still have an open $25,000 that we haven't spent this year. So the funds are there. I know Rick had some questions to Chris that we had fielded back and forth. We don't want to get in front of ourselves by just miscellaneously adding projects in, as this was out of our CIP, but the rationale for it was, the thought was the ARPA funding, when we collaborated as a staff to kind of put some things together that we thought could be community impact and use of those funds. So that's how this got jump-started. It wasn't staff taking it on their own to say, let's go rogue and come up with something. So point well taken by that, and staff has made mention of that as well. So it's not something we want to by any means get in the habit of doing, getting in front of ourselves. But with that, again, we feel it's a viable project, not just for the community, but for our own operations as well. So with that, I know Chris is out sick, so I'm trying to pinch hit for him as best as I can, but so I can answer any questions should you have them.
Yeah, and my back and forth with Chris, it was just more of the principle of it. It wasn't, Tracy, you probably remember, 5-6 years ago, we would sometimes get a rash of fourth quarter projects that were not on the CIP, and it really was, it put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And so, I had asked, okay, well, I know we have another one coming up here that's gonna be $6,000 under, or $4,000 or something like that. So it's like, okay, well, there's 4. It's like, do we have some other projects where we're taking out of savings instead of just going,
Right.
we got this big pot of money, let's just, the money is really earmarked in a sense. I mean, not to say that we can't reallocate it.
Sure.
We can always reallocate it, but, we should probably stick to what we say we're gonna spend it to. So
Absolutely, yeah.
the project itself, I didn't have a,
Okay.
I know when I was back for the Chris, he had given me a lot of, details about the project. I was like, no, I get the project. I like the project.
It's the process that was in question, and staff is very sensitive to that as well because of the relationship that's been created with current council. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize that either. So I appreciate your pushback or feedback on that, and we want to be sensitive to that. But I believe how it started, the intent behind it was sincere, and we did get a little bit over our skis. Maybe a little more explanation on the front side would have been prudent too. So.
And thank you for the extra effort too with you and staff, with in budget or finance department to do that. Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2397, allowing staff to proceed with the addition of internet access and camera monitoring at City Park. the proposed cost of $12,710.
I'll second that.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Replacement of the Toro 4110 large area mower with Kubota tractor and accessories. Welcoming back for his second appearance, Mr. Butekin.
Hope this one goes better. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight, I have RC and Resolution 2396 for the replacement and upgrade of current public works equipment. Due for repair or replacement this year was our Toro 4110 mower. Street staff felt that there was plenty of life left in the equipment, but the mower deck itself needed replacement. Securing all the necessary parts initially was supposed to not be an issue, but as the months went by, it became less feasible. I started looking at other options to better utilize space, equipment needs, multiple functions, and year-round use. What staff are proposing tonight is the purchase of the Kubota LX 4020 tractor, including cab, loader, snowblower, belly mower, backhoe, and rotary broom. The Toro 4110 would be removed from the CIP and live in operations as a backup unit until it no longer is functional since the trade-in value is too low. Along with this, we would trade in the current John Deere X758 and the John Deere 955 tractors. Trade-ins on this equipment would be $18,500 and $7,000. This proposal turns 3 pieces of equipment into one while still maintaining maintaining the same or increased performance and efficiencies while requiring less maintenance costs. All of this is outlined in the Public Works equipment proposal attached to this item. Included is a dealer quote and pictures of equipment attachments that we are asking in this purchase and trade-in. We are making this request seeking to fund an item ahead of the final 2024 budget approval because of the current trade-in values on our John Deere equipment. This equipment purchase of the Kubota tractor has been discussed with the Public Works and Budget Finance Committees. Committee supported bringing this to council for consideration as it would fit our needs well while being financially responsible. The quoted price for the Kubota, all attachments and other fees is $82,354.75. Staff would have $25,500 in trades, bringing the final purchase price to $56,854.75. $25,000 of this net purchase price will be paid from the Public Works CIP, with the balance of $31,854.75 coming from the Park CIP, where $40,000 was allocated. I am asking for a motion and a second to approve the resolution 2396, allowing staff to proceed with the purchase of the Kubota LX 4020 tractor and attachments. If anybody has any questions, I could answer them now.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2396, purchasing a Kubota tractor.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Look forward to seeing you again. 2024 irrigation computer upgrade, Mr. Scharfenkamp.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I am before you to talk about our 2024 irrigation upgrade CIP line. The past couple of years we've been spending on what we would consider to be the heart of the system that pushes the water out. Now we'd like to start working on what would essentially be the brain, where it's calling for that water to be applied. There's 2 parts of the system, or of the brain of the system. One being the computer that sends the signal out at night, and then the other being the controllers or satellites in the field that we have been in the used market looking for, and have been able to find what would have cost us around $200,000 from MTI Toro for refurbished units. that we are under $8,000 to replace the entire course. The benefit of doing this, there's two-way communication, so when it sends a signal out, we receive feedback that it's received or not received, which will dramatically help our troubleshooting rather than having to wait for a dry spot to form to know that it's not receiving that signal. To unlock the full potential of these upgrades is where the computer comes into play. We are still on Toro Site Pro 1.1, which the trademark for was 2001. So it is long out of service. Essentially, we are no longer able to order computers from Dell or anything like that. We have to actually find 32-bit computers, which is not the easiest thing to find something reliable. So we are looking to upgrade that software. Now that we have the controllers, we are able to make a full upgrade and fully benefit the system going into next year. They do have a upgrade program currently, which is why I'm here for the 2024 CIP that ends at the end of October. And they typically run it every year. However, there is the chance that they don't. And so that is a 50% off promotion for that upgrade. We would also like to integrate a weather station into the new software, which will help us control water amounts a lot closer with the data from how much the plant is using. The weather station helps determine that amount and helps determine how much water goes out at night. So it will help us control water a little bit more efficiently. And then the last thing that we would be looking to do is having MTI assist us with some of the troubleshooting of the new controllers in the field. We have a basic understanding of them. They are a lot more advanced than our current ones. So just having him out for a day with us to go through the settings and understand the full potential of what the new controllers are able to do. We spoke about this at golf committee as well, and they were in favor. The irrigation computer upgrade would come to a total after tax of $16,911.49. The weather station would be an additional $3,808.09. And then working with IT staff, we determined that we need to add a switch and access point to allow this computer to access the internet going forward. The current setup in our maintenance building is maxed out. For an additional $500, and then having the irrigation specialist out for a day would cost $1,200. Total planned expense would come to $22,419.58. And those expenses would be applied to the 2024 CIP. If no questions, I would ask for a motion and second, allowing golf maintenance staff to move forward with the 2024 irrigation computer upgrade. And if there's any questions.
Yep. I had asked about when we go to Windows 11.
Yes, so is speaking with Toro and Toro NSN, who service the computer that they would be delivering, they said their timetable was to upgrade in 2024, October 2024. The end of life for Windows 10 is currently set for October 2025, I believe.
Yeah, but Is there gonna be an issue changing to?
No, that'll be because we would be in service with them and they come out to service the computer.
Okay.
It is essentially, when you are current with their service, you have 24/7, 365 coverage that they will service the computer in the event that anything were to go wrong, then.
Yeah, I'm not worried about going wrong, I'm just,
Yep.
when they
So-
drop Windows 10 and go to Windows 11,
Then they
we're not
come
gonna have
out,
to buy more equipment is my concern.
correct, they come out, they replace the computer
Okay.
with the Windows 11.
We actually discussed this quite in detail at the committee, and it's a good move.
Yeah,
I've been in the spot where you've had to go hunt down 16 or 32, well, 16-bit at the time, it's, say now it's 32-bit, having to hunt down old computers, and it gets harder and harder. You're on the used market all the time looking for them. It's harder to do, so. The 16911 for the irrigation computer, that includes the Toro software, correct? That's not
correct,
16,000.
correct, yep.
Okay.
That is also 1 year of their coverage, so we would be through the end of October, and then we would likely extend per our IT staff recommendation. They would like to see us extend that coverage, so we would likely extend it for multiple years. There is a volume discount for anything beyond 1 year, you receive a discount.
Do we know if they handle all the updates, or does it, like the Windows updates, or is that something that, like the minor, not from 10 to 11, but the minor updates, is that something our IT staff would do, and then, or do they actually dial in and do it all?
I believe they are fully responsible for that computer. And to that point, I asked Rob his comfort with that being on the network, and he had mentioned he could isolate it in a way that it's not touching our network other than internet access for the service for Toro links.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Sounds like Rob already knows, so.
I make a motion for allowing golf maintenance staff to move forward with the 2024 irrigation computer upgrade.
I'll second that.
Motion from Becky, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you.
Since Jason is up here, there's a revised resolution accepting donations, and on that resolution is accepting irrigation satellites from a golf course down in Iowa. I wondered if you had questions, so since Jason's here, can you just explain that for the council?
Yes, so we have been actively looking for used satellites for the entire year, multiple years actually. This year we were able to find 18 from a private club in Minneapolis, 3 additional at auction, and then we were looking to complete the amount that we needed to replace at least the championship course. We received a lead for a private club in Iowa that is currently upgrading, and they, so I had reached out and he said that we were able to take them for free. They just had them as placeholders because they are in the act of upgrading to the very latest system. So it's not that there's any mechanical issues with them or electronic issues necessarily. It was just that they were at their CIP point of upgrading, as well as doing a major golf course layout renovation where it made sense for them to upgrade to the latest technology. We received 20 satellites from them that would come in at, if we averaged what we paid for the other used ones, it was around $6,700, I believe.
Oh.
And they donated them?
Yes, his words were he just wanted to pay it forward to the golf community. So
That was very nice.
so we are very appreciative for him. and the Wakanda Club, so. Thank you.
All right, administrator and staff reports. Radio encryption project, Chief Balloon.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So back in this past spring, the police department went through a data security audit with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and as part of that audit, they assess our network capabilities, how safe and secure we're accessing information, stuff like that. But also as part of that, came out this time was communication. And more specifically, we discovered as part of their questions and stuff like that, the need to look at encryption. As part of a policy through the FBI, which what we do is everything is kind of governed by the FBI. It goes down to the BCA. They administer everything, the rules, if you will, for the state of Minnesota. We found that we have to move towards an encrypted channels on our radio. The reason being is twofold. One is the protection of criminal justice information, CJI information, that we talk about over our radio systems often. And that includes, personal information about people, victim information, criminal history information on arrestees, juvenile information, which technically is protected information and should not be out in the open. So therefore, that was their main premise for asking law enforcement to start considering encryption. The second part of that is officer safety. As we know, in the day and age that we live, everybody has a cell phone that has the capability of putting an app with a scanner on it now and listening to law enforcement. Well, it hasn't happened here where we've seen that, but I've read stories where the criminals, of course, are listening to the scanners and planning their activities and courses of action related to how law enforcement responds. So what we had done at that time is I reached out to the sheriff of Sherburne County and asked, are you aware of this? Because our direct link is through the sheriff's office with the radio system. And he was aware, but was hoping, I think, this would be further down the road. We've now been informed from the sheriff that we need to move towards this by the end of 2023. So this was not a planned thing on our part. Thankfully, there's money in our CIP to be able to cover this. I did reach out to Granite Electronics. They are our preferred vendor, state contracted vendor in St. Cloud. We've purchased radio equipment from them many times in the past. They've serviced the equipment as well. To accomplish what we need to do with the encrypted channels on the radios would run us in the neighborhood, actually it's $7,558.20. That is for the 15 latest, if you will, latest upgraded radios that we have available for portable radios for the officers. So what I have before you then is the resolution, 2394, requesting a motion and a second to adopt that, authorizing the chief of police to work with Granite Electronics to encrypt all portable police radios in the amount of $7,558.20. And I'd certainly answer any questions if you have any of those.
Is that just a software?
It's basically a programmable upgrade, as I understand it. Yeah. So we had just done firmware updates on all of our radios, and now we're going to be doing this. So there's a couple pieces. There's advanced encryption depending on the type of radio you have. Fortunately, ours we've already got part of the encryption in our radios, so we don't need all of it. So thus a cheaper price. I was actually expecting more closer between $15,000 and $20,000. So we're in a better position for this. Now, I will say next year we'll be getting or requesting squad radios to update those. Those will already come encrypted at the time of purchase when we get those next year. So this gets that first step done and puts us in a position where we'll have this completed before the end of the year at the sheriff's request.
And I know we talked about, there's folks that listen to CB radios, or, we'll say law-abiding folks that listen to CB radios, and so there will still be a public channel.
There is still discussion about how that's actually going to work. Matter of fact, WJON just called me about that. What is when you talk about transparency and stuff like that and keeping at least one public channel, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work yet. I know there's legislation to enforce that with law enforcement in other states. There's nothing that I know of yet in Minnesota. because everybody is trying to move towards full encryption. I know St. Cloud is at a full encrypted state. So I would guess that that's gonna gain some steam down the road, that they'll want something that's, to allow for more transparency and allow for the ability to listen in on some of the activity that's going on. To what degree, I guess I don't know. It's a little bit of a shift from where we've been in the past, no question.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2394, authorizing the chief to work with Granite Electronics to encrypt all police portable radios in the amount of $75,5820.
I'll second that.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Consent agenda, Mr. LaRude.
Mayor Bertrand, City Council members, items for consideration on tonight's consent agenda include approving the revised hiring and termination report for Pebble Creek Golf Course and the Becker Community Center, approve the revised non-DOT drug and alcohol testing policy, approve the update to the Community Development Administrative Assistant job description and authorization to transition to full-time, adopt Resolution 23-95, approving 2024 health insurance contributions and coverage options, approve the appointment of Aaron Eastman to the Parks and Rec Commission, adopt revised Resolution 23-98, accepting the following donations: $8,000 from the Becker Youth Baseball Association, $6,175 in value for irrigation satellites from Wakanda Golf Club in Des Moines, Iowa. Approve partial pay request number 4 in the amount of $270,373.57 to O&G Midwest for the 2023 Street Improvement Project. And approve partial pay request number 4 in the amount of $866,367.24 to R.L. Larson Excavating for the 2023 Business Park Pump Station Improvement Project. And I will answer any questions you have.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion from Rick, second from Robin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye.
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 Opposed, carried. Payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second?
Motion from Rick, second from Robin. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Rick. Those in favor can't state aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:38 PM.